Okay, so for those guys contemplating doing Special Forces selection here in Australia, you might be tracking the current selection course. So the current selection course is underway at the moment. We're about halfway through the course right now. Up to this point, over 50% of the candidates have withdrawn on own request. So this is only halfway through and over 50% are already gone. Now, we expect that more will go, obviously, over the next few days. We'll probably end up with around 10 to 15% of the original number of candidates who will end up finishing the course. Now, when you think about it, the amount of people that they fly over here to Perth and they accommodate them and they feed them, only to have most of them fly back after only 7 to 10 days of the 21-day course. Look at the amount of energy, amount of money and amount of resources expended to get these people over, only to send them back after a week. You've got to start to ask yourself, especially if you're a candidate contemplating next year's selection, as to why it is that over 50% fail in the first 10 days. The argument could be made that if you pass the SFET, you pass the requirements for the SFET, then you will be fit enough to finish selection, because at the end of the day, it's not really the fitness that will get you through selection. Yes, you do have to be very fit. You have to understand how much volume you have to be undertaking before you actually do the course. And it's different level of volume that's required just to finish the barrier test or just to pass the barrier test or the SFET. So when you think about it, when you're joining Special Forces, you're not really training for selection. You're actually training to fight World War III, or the worst case scenario for Australia. That's your intent. So if you're just training to pass the barrier test, your fitness will only reflect your ability to just pass the barrier test. If you're training for war, you've got to understand that you have to train for that level of fitness. So you can consider doing the 26-weeker or the 32-weeker that the Army provides. What you must understand is that program is not a solve-all for every candidate. Every candidate is at a different level of fitness and a different level of conditioning for every selection discipline. Now, if we're particularly weak in pack marching, we need a program that's dedicated to make us stronger in pack marching whilst enabling us to maintain every other discipline. Because it is so complex and because everyone is individual, you need to have a program that is designed specifically for you and your needs. Understanding that to be properly prepared for selection, we need to be able to hit a minimum amount of Ks a week as an average on a normal training week in order to condition us to the amount of pack volume that we'll be doing over a selection course and throughout our career within Special Forces. So I have to understand that if I'm not at that minimum requirement yet, then I need to follow a program that enables me to develop the skills and develop the fitness in those areas to build up my capacities in those areas. If I do a general program which does not have enough volume and enough intensity in it, then it will not prepare me for the brutal experience that is selection. At the end of the day, the amount of volume and intensity required to properly prepare for a selection cannot be easily replicated for everyone using one program. So you need a program that is unapologetically hard, but incorporates the principles of specific adaptation to imposed demands and progressive overload to ensure that you are graduating or you are growing or you are improving at your pace. If the program is not flexible enough, you will be underprepared, or at the very least, you won't be anywhere near the fitness required to undertake a complete selection course. Hence, we have the majority of people not getting through the first half of the selection course. If I look at most of the candidates that we've had come through who have been successful in selection, the majority of them have been hitting about 100 Ks a week with their pack, about 60 Ks a week of running and weighted running, and about 4 to 5 gym sessions a week as part of a normal training week. Obviously, you're going to build up to that amount of volume over time. In some cases, it'll take you over 2 years to build up to that volume, depending on where you are. A lot of guys who are passing the barrier test, they have enough fitness to pass the barrier test, but they don't have the volume within them to actually pass selection or finish selection. So if you look at the amount of people who've withdrawn from the actual course right now, a lot of them is because, one, they weren't expecting how hard and how brutal selection is and how much volume and intensity you must be accustomed to ensure that you can get through the entire selection course. Because we live very comfortable lives in Australia, very few of us have any real understanding of how brutal selection is, because a lot of us have never really experienced anything like that in our lives. There's nothing close to it. There's a lot of guys who have done courses in the Army that are quite difficult, for example, the battalion recon courses or courses like that. But when you think about selection is the sniper or the recon course times 10. If you think about that amount of volume, you're probably pretty close to where you need to be in terms of the amount of volume. So we're looking at basically being able to, as a matter of course, achieve in a 7-day work period, so it might be your 5th week of your 6-week cycle, to be able to be accustomed to pack marching over 100 kilometres a week, running over 60 kilometres, and the majority of that as a weighted run, and also doing 4 to 5 gym sessions a week and a swim session. So if you look at the total amount of volume there, it takes a long time to build up to that level of volume. In fact, for a lot of people, it may take 2 to 3 years to get that, depending on where you are. Now, passing the barrier test does not indicate that you have the ability to stomach that amount of volume. As we can see, if the high withdrawal rate on selection only halfway through the course right now, and already at less than 50% of the starting number, they're still continuing with the course. We'll lose probably another 30% and hopefully end up with 25 to 15% of the original number of candidates actually finish and become successful. Hopefully those guys who have withdrawn at this point or contemplating doing selection again have realised that, okay, it's a completely different culture. The amount of pressure and the environment that they create is really designed to make you tap out mentally if you don't tap out physically. The more volume they load onto you, you're expecting your brain to think that you should be tapping out physically. But what a lot of people have got to understand is that they just have to make the decision to stay in. Now, it sounds very easy for me to say that, but at the end of the day, it's really just a decision. You can either say, okay, I'm feeling pretty tired right now, I'm feeling injured, I'm feeling sore, this is much, much more intense than I expected it to be, but all I need to do is stay here. All I need to do is finish the next whatever days you've got left. So if I'm halfway through, I need to finish the next 11 days. Because if I finish 11 days, at the end of the day, if I'm still there, I've got a 50% chance of being selected. If I'm not there at all, I've got 0% chance of being selected. As long as you pass the barrier test during selection, all you need to do is continue to contribute, but be there every single day to put yourself in the mix at the end. Now, it sounds like I'm making it like a very easy decision, but it's never going to be an easy decision. That's the whole point of selection. The idea is to be able to see through all the friction, to see through all the hardship, the pain, and to be able to say, okay, I've got another 10 days of this. I've just done 10 days. I've just got to stay in and finish the course, which means I'm just going to take every hour by hour, take it day by day until the course is finished. That's essentially it. To a certain point, it doesn't matter how much conditioning I've done, because the course is designed to ground you down physically, to test your mental fortitude, to be able to push your body through the next few days and be able to contribute as a team member and as a follower and as a leader as required, and contribute in a way that is favourable to what they want. Obviously, we want to hedge our bets here. We've got to make sure that we are as fit as we possibly can be, also understanding that it's still, no matter how fit we are, we're going to get ground down to the point where really we're just relying on our strength of will and our mental fortitude to push us forward. You need to make sure that at the very least you cross all your T's and dot all your I's in terms of how fit you are, which means 100 kilometres of pack marching a week, 60 Ks of running a week, 4 to 5 gym sessions a week, a recovery session, at least 1 or 2 recovery sessions, and included in there somewhere is your pool conditioning sessions. If you don't know what numbers you need to hit outside of SFET to give yourself the best chance of passing, then send us a message or email us. We'll give you the information based on what we've seen over the last 16 years and the last 10 years prior to that of actually working in the units. If you're nowhere near that level of volume yet, maybe you should consider doing selection next year and continuing to build up volume. Or you can apply and undertake selection and take it as a learning experience. But in this game we're playing, in the Special Forces game, the idea is that you want to pass everything first time, every time. Because the moment you start selection, you're building your reputation. And when you're going to those organisations, it's about trust. It's about whether the people who are there can trust these new guys to do their job. Obviously, it's up to the people who are there to train these new guys up to a point, but they're looking at you and saying, is this guy worthy? Is this guy trustworthy? Is he physically competent? Is he personally competent? Actually achieve great things or achieve our missions with this guy. So mindset is to pass everything first time, every time. It means a no-fail mindset, which means that you'll do everything possible to prepare leading up to the actual crucible. Yeah, and then if you don't succeed, you should be able to look back on your training regime and go, well, actually, this is where I went wrong. I can fix that. But if you don't have a structured program up to that, you can't diagnose it. Yeah, if you can't get the minimum amount of kilometres a week that we require in terms of volume of preparation, then you need to say, okay, here's a hard and fast number here. I know that we need a minimum amount of Ks, we need a minimum amount of running, we need a minimum amount of lifting. We also have to be able to do those things at the paces, reps and weights required, which are realistic for selection. And then I know that if I've achieved that, and I can do that as a matter of course for just a normal week for myself, then I know that I'm prepared for selection. as prepared as I possibly can be. Up to that point, if you do selection, you're just going to be another number that gets back on the plane and goes back home halfway through selection, like every other selection course, where over 50% of people fail within the first week of the course. So if you want to be a number like that, just continue to do what you're doing and don't really think about what you need to do. Don't really think about the specific numbers you need to hit. But if you are serious about it, you have to understand that there are minimum numbers that put you in the best position. Minimum weights, minimum reps, minimum volume, minimum intensity that you need to hit to put you in the best position to pass selection. Once you've hit those numbers, all it is then is about being mentally strong enough to continue through 21 days of one of the most brutal experiences anyone will ever experience in their lives. If you need any more information about putting yourself in the best position to pass selection, send us an email and we'll put you on track.